Good morning, and thank you for joining me today for another Colour Palette Challenge Wednesday. I hope everybody's well. It's Samantha here from the Little Greenhouse, and we are going to be getting our colours today from the colour palette that you can find on page 65 of the annual catalogue. Okay, so the colours we're going to be using are Terracotta Tile, Bumblebee, Old Olive, Mint Macaron, Early Espresso, and a touch of gold. So that's the colour palette challenge that we're going to be using today. Again, you can find it on page 65. Good morning, Monica. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you're well. So, just run through the colours again with you. Terracotta Tile, Bumblebee, Old Olive, Mint Macaron, Early Espresso, and a touch of gold. So these are the cards I have created using the Butterfly Gala stamp set. So this is the first one, and it's just the run-of-the-mill basic a little note. Always handy to have to send out to people. Then we created I created, should I say, this congratulations card. And this time I added a layer inside for the sentiment and greetings from the person sending the card. Okay, that's that one. Then we have With Deepest Sympathy, and the difference on this one is I've actually embossed the banner here, rather than having the sentiment on it, and the sentiment now is on the top left hand corner, but I've left the inside blank. Okay, and the variation that we're going to do is a variation of this one, whereas I have embossed the background and I have 3D'd the butterflies. Okay, so let's get on. So I have a piece of Old Olive cardstock cut at 8 inches by 5 3/4 and scored at 4. I then have 2 pieces of Very Vanilla, no I haven't, Whisper White, I do apologise, and this is 3 3/4 by 5 1/2, and this will layer on the top of our Old Olive cardstock. And then we have one more piece which is 5 1/4 by 3 1/2, and this will go on the inside of our cardstock like so. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, and I do have a 3/4 of an inch piece of Old Olive, which will go across the banner on here once we've embossed it. Okay, so the first thing to do is to take our largest piece of Whisper White and run it through our embossing folder, which is this one here. It's beautiful. It's this wonderful pattern of little flowers. So popping it inside the embossing folder like so, making sure that the Stampin' Up logo is facing up so that we know that we have the embossing on the right side of the paper. Okay, run that through the Big Shot, and then we get this wonderful detailed piece of cardstock back. Okay, so that is where all the butterflies are going to attach to, and that will sit on here just like so. Okay, so let's do that now and attach it with a multi-purpose dab of glue. If you wanted to, you could also use the double-sided tape, as sometimes the embossing imprint can be shy of the glue and won't always stick down, but I think we are fairly safe with this one. There we go, so pop that down there like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece of Old Olive, and we're just going to put the sentiment onto here, and I'm actually going to use the Happy Birthday, and I'm going to stamp with the Early Espresso onto the cardstock. making sure it's straight. We're going to pop it in the middle. There we go, and we have the happy birthday. Now this, I'll just wipe this down carefully, is actually going to be attached to the card base, but using the dimensionals, just to give it a bit of height. So turning that over, I'm using the small dimensionals, so I shall put one in each corner, and then one in the middle. There we go. We will remove the... Oh, morning, Sylv. Glad you could join us today. I hope you're well. We are doing a colour palette challenge found on page 65 of the annual catalogue. We're using Old Olive, Terracotta Tile, Bumblebee, Mint Macaron and the Early Espresso. Right, so we're just going to pop this piece of cardstock down. I've put it probably on the bottom third of the card so that we can get 2 butterflies here and 1 butterfly at the bottom, or large butterfly should I say. Okay, so we can pop that aside now just to be on the safe side, and we're going to bring in our punch. This is the butterfly punch. We've had it a little while. As you can see, mine is well loved, and it cuts out two butterflies in one go, a large version and a small version. But because of the way we are creating the card today, we only need one of each colour. So I'm going to use a smaller piece of cardstock. This is the Terracotta Tile. I need one of those in the large butterfly. Pop that aside. Then I need one in the Old Olive. Now pop that into there. And then I need one in the Bumblebee. Perfect. Now we're going to move to the slightly smaller bumblebees, and I need one of those in Mint Macaron, which will go here. Good morning, Jill. Thanks for joining me this morning. Hope you're well. Okay, and then the last one we need is in the Early Espresso. Again, the small butterfly springs out of us all. Okay, so there are bases of our butterflies, like so. And they, let me just get these pieces out of the way, they will then, we can choose where we can put, where our butterflies are actually going to go. So if I bring in this base that we have already created, so we can choose roughly where we would like our our butterflies would go. It's because we've just used them. I've just used the Bumblebee yellow on our cardstock, and then we can add our little bees. It's going to be one of those days, I can just feel it. Butterflies back onto the card like this. Now, before we do that, there are 2 things we need to do. And the first thing is the first generation stamping of each of the butterflies onto this piece of cardstock, but we are also going to do a second generation stamp, working our way up the cardstock, which is the inside layer. So I'm going to start with the Old Olive first, bringing it in. Now the Butterfly Gala stamp set we're using has 4 different butterflies. And of the 4, we're only going to use the 3 today. That's this one, and this one here. I'll just move that a bit so you can see. Okay, so, and we're going to do, let's pop that there so it's safe. So this is our first butterfly, and we're going to use that in the Old Olive. Just stamp it onto our cutout. So that's one there. So that's the first generation. I'm going to pop that side up there and bring in our layer, and then I'm just going to place that second generation down here in the left hand corner to start with. Okay, you see that? And now we're going to work our way up the cards with different colours. Okay, so the second one we're going to do is the terracotta tile. So let's just put that aside, bring that in. Using the next butterfly. Now what you'll probably see is I've actually cut the little butterflies off the top of my big butterflies. But if you wanted to use the same one, big and small at the same time, not a problem. They fit back onto the blocks quite easily, and then you can cut them out using the punch. But for this, I just need them singly. So there is our first generation. Bringing in our inside layer. I'm just going to pop that one there, like so. And then the next colour is going to be the bumblebee. Dab that butterfly onto the spare cardstock. It's just going to be a little bit tight there, so I'm going to put this one just here on this corner, like so. There you go. And then we're going to use the second generation onto the top of the card here. There we go. Perfect. Alright, so I can now pop those away, and we can bring in the small butterfly. So the first one is in the mint macaron. I'm going to dab him. First generation onto the cardstock, just down here. And then the mint macaron second generation I'm going to pop in the middle there. And then the last colour we've got is the early espresso. So I'm going to pop that down. Again, I'm going to stamp that onto the cardstock. Pop that aside, and that can sit there. And then we can do the second generation onto here. So that is our lining to go inside the card. Now the only thing we need to do now is I'm going to put the happy birthday greeting, and I think I'm probably going to put it slap bang over the terracotta butterfly. So I'm going to chest it on there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And then first generation over the terracotta butterfly, like so. Okay, so that we can get this piece out of the way, we are going to just add the glue to the top of the card. Come on, there we go. And then I will pop those butterflies down there, open the card, and we can attach the inside layer just like that. Okay, pressing firmly and making sure it's in place. Okay, so now what we need to do is to cut out our stamped butterflies. So bringing our punch in again. So what I need to do is, so that I don't waste cardstock, I'm actually going to trim this. So I'm going to put the butterfly on one side, making sure I don't cut him any of the wings off. So that's one piece there, and then I'm going to turn that round, and I'm going to cut that bit like that. Okay, makes it easier to put into the punch, and I still have a nice piece of cardstock to use a little later. Okay, so we'll do the large ones first. So that one's going to go into there. Let's just line that up properly. I'm not sure why my hands are shaking today, but they are. So that's one. And then I'm going to pop in the green, making sure that lines up perfectly. There we go. And he comes out nicely. Get rid of that piece of cardstock. And now we've got a large left, which will go here. There. Come on. There we go. And that comes up. And then all we've got to do now is add the two small ones. So there is this little one here. And they're so cute. One. And then I just need to do the mint macaron, which I can line up there. Yay! Let him jump out. Right, let's get rid of these little bits that we don't actually need. Push those aside and I can put them in the bin. Right, okay. So, actually I will bring this one back in. So now we have our 3 large butterflies and our 2 small ones. We have the corresponding base colour for our butterflies, like so, and the yellow, early espresso, and the mint macaron. Okay, now we're going to attach each of these butterflies to each other, but just by the body. So we'll start with this little butterfly here, run him down there, and then we're just going to do body to body, and hopefully it will stay in place. Okay, I'm just going to put that one down there for a second and let it dry. Going to do the same with the early espresso, small line down there. There we go. And now the same, exactly the same with the larger butterflies, just the glue on the body so that we will give them some flight when we attach them to the card. So that's that one. And then the last one to be attached is the Old Olive. Now our small butterflies are going to be attached to the card just as they are. We can give them a little flick so that you can just see underneath here the cardstock peeking out. Okay, so that's the small one, and then we're going to do exactly the same with the early espresso again, so you can see the cardstock underneath just peeking out. So slightly different with the larger ones. We're going to take the smaller dimensionals, and then under each wing, so I'm going to fold that up, I'm going to place a small dimensional like so. Take my hand away, you might be able to see it, and then the corresponding one on the bottom. We can take off the backings and then very gently press down the yellow layer, so we've made a sandwich. Okay, and we're going to do that on all sides of the 3 butterflies. So let's see if I can zip this along a bit. One, oh dear, stuck to my finger. Come on, Mr. Glue. There we go. So that's that one. So, and this just gives our little butterfly a bit of dimensional and gives the card a good pop. These small dimensionals seem to like to stick to my fingers. So that's that one. And then the same with the Old Olive. Let's just move these up and we can add them to here. Now, the reason I've added these dimensionals is because obviously a number of times when cards get posted, you can bring up the wings, but obviously through all the postage system they will get slightly flattened. So by having them with these dimensionals, we have a good chance of the card arriving with the pop of dimensional that we were looking for. That's one there. That's one. Oops, come on. There. So that's him. And then we've got on there. The yellow one's already stuck. And then we've just got the terracotta tile. This one in there. Pop that one down and then bring exactly the same. Now the only thing we're going to do now with these butterflies is I'm going to take the wink of Stella and I'm just going to run it over the body of the butterfly. Okay, I'm going to take some of the ink and I'm just going to spread it around the body, just because I don't want such a starch white appearing on the card. Just looks slightly odd. So there is a glittered up terracotta. Let's do the same for the bumblebee. So I'm just going to rub that round, give the little butterfly. I'm really going for that bumblebee, aren't I? Butterfly. There. Wipe off the wink of Stella. And then we can bring in the Old Olive and do exactly the same. And we're just pulling some of the colour from the actual butterfly to create the body. Again, just wipe that down there. If you want to, you could do the same, and I suppose we might as well, as we're here, to the smaller butterflies. So that's the mint macaron, and then the early espresso will be added, like so. There we go. Perfect. Let's just take that off. So the only thing to do now is to add this to our card, which just pop those aside for a second and get rid of that. It's now up to us where we put our butterflies. So I'm going to put my Old Olive probably up to there. Bring in my yellow and pop him. Now this is where the advantage is. Because we've got two layers here, we can actually slip the yellow under the green, but have the wings still popped out. So let's pop that over there a bit so you can see I'm not covering up the happy birthday. And then I'm just going to bring in the same with the terracotta tile, and that will sit down there. Okay, so let's glue these into place. I'm going to use all of the back of the butterfly so that he is firmly in place, like so. Okay, he's down there, and it's a good grip to the embossing folder. Do the same with the bumblebee coloured butterfly. Slip that underneath like that. Oops, come on. There we are. So he's down firmly. And just give him a little bit more lift. I'll just squash those dimensionals too much. And then the same with the terracotta tile. So we're just going to highlight the butterfly that way. Okay, so we've now got our three main butterflies in place. Let's just make sure I've stuck those down firmly enough with the glue. There we go. Okay. Yeah, perfect. So we've now just got the other two to add. So I'm going to add this one quickly with the mint macaron down here. There you are, my little butterfly. And last but by no means least, our early espresso one. I'm going to add, whoopsie daisy, to there. Now, for those of you who are eagle-eyed and will realise that the pop of gold has not appeared as yet, I'm actually going to be quite sneaky and bring it in with these beautiful gems. And I'm going to use the second size and pop one in the middle there and one in the middle of the sentiment there. Okay, so that, ladies, is our card. Thank you, Monica. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, I think the dimensional under the wings just gives it that little bounce and will help us with the card arriving not totally and utterly flat. Okay, so that's the outside and that is the inside of our card. And the ones I showed you earlier are the thank you, which is this version, the deepest sympathy, which is using the embossing but only on the strip, and then we have these two, which are the plain versions with just the basics using. So there are three versions. We've got a simplified one, a second generation more upbeat, which is that one. Okay, and then for the avid crafter we've got this one that we can have a go at. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you like that cards. I am back again tomorrow for a coffee and card, and we're bringing in a new stamp set to us, so please join us. If not, if you can't make it, don't worry, there's always catch up. Whatever you do today, have fun and stay safe, and I'll hopefully see you tomorrow. Thanks everybody, bye.